The moment you decide to stop chasing a woman, something significant begins to occur, not just for you, but for her as well. What happens next is a shift in the power dynamics that can be observed, though it may not always be immediately noticeable. This shift has the power to reshape her world and your relationship with her entirely, for most of her life. Women are accustomed to being pursued, admired, and validated. Society and biology have ingrained in them the notion that their worth is measured by the attention they receive, whether it be through compliments, adoration, or the simple act of someone seeking their company. From a young age, many women are accustomed to the idea of being the prize. But when you, as a man, choose to stop chasing her, it disrupts her usual sense of power and control. All of a sudden, she's faced with a reality that she wasn't prepared for, a reality where she's no longer the center of someone else's world. You're no longer the one seeking her attention, you're no longer feeding her ego, and you're no longer validating her existence through your actions. This is when things start to change for her. The stability that she once had in her relationships with men, where she could expect you to chase, pursue, and validate her, shatters. She is no longer in control, and for the first time, she feels powerless. It's a sensation that most women don't experience on a regular basis. Powerlessness isn't something that women are accustomed to feeling in relationships, and this sudden shift forces her to face a new reality that she never anticipated: the role of validation in a woman's ego. Let's take a deeper look into what's happening here. For many women, external validation plays a significant role in their sense of self-worth. This is not necessarily a negative trait. It's a human experience that affects both men and women in different ways. Women, however, are often raised to derive much of their self-worth from external sources, especially in romantic relationships. When a man gives a woman attention, compliments her, and seeks her out, it reinforces her sense of desirability and value. In many cases, this cycle can go unnoticed because it has been normalized in our social and cultural structures. She doesn't always have to try hard for attention because it's often readily available. But when a man stops seeking her approval, she feels a sudden loss. The loss of attention, validation, and affirmation can feel like the rug has been pulled out from under her. At that moment, something changes within her. She begins to feel a new emotion: insecurity. In the past, if she needed her ego boosted or a reminder of her worth, she could count on someone else to provide that. But now, it's no longer available. The silence, the lack of communication, the absence of validation, it's all unsettling. For her, this is when a woman's behavior begins to shift in noticeable ways. She goes from being confident, perhaps even arrogant or indifferent, to acting out of character. You may start to see her behaving in a way you haven't seen before. Suddenly, she's reaching out, texting you, "Hey stranger," or checking up on you. The tables have turned, and she's trying to regain the attention she once took for granted. The game of validation and ego feeding. Why does this happen? It's not that she misses you specifically, it's that she misses the validation you provided. She misses the ego boost, the affirmation of her worth that you were supplying. You were more than just a companion. Your attention and affection were a powerful source of validation. Women often thrive on being desired, being admired, and being pursued. And when you pull away, it's not simply a loss of connection. It's a loss of her own sense of power. Don't think about the classic dynamic of the chase in romantic relationships. When a man is constantly pursuing a woman, she feels wanted, desired, and sought after. This dynamic feeds into her self-image, making her feel more confident and more in control. But when you stop chasing, when you stop validating her through your actions, she no longer feels like the center of someone's world. The woman who once felt that power shift in her favor is now forced to confront the uncomfortable feeling of not being the one who is being chased. Now that the attention has stopped flowing from you, she's left to wonder why. The emotional center of her world, the source of constant validation, is gone, and that's when the shift becomes evident. She may start texting you more frequently, accidentally liking your posts on social media, or even doing the smallest things to reignite that connection. But this isn't because she misses you, this is because she misses the power, the validation, and the fuel that you provided to her ego. The power of walking away. This moment, this shift, is when men unlock their true power in relationships. When you choose to walk away, you stop playing into her game. You remove yourself from the emotional cycle that she has come to expect. You stop being her emotional backup, her source of confidence, and her provider of validation. And when this happens, her reality starts to shift in ways that are difficult for her to ignore. It's important to understand that this doesn't make you weak or manipulative. It makes you aware of your own worth. You're not playing a game, rather. You're simply stepping out of a pattern that isn't serving you. You've recognized that your value doesn't depend on her approval or attention. You've realized that your worth isn't determined by whether or not she seeks you out. By walking away, you make it clear that you're not willing to be controlled by the dynamic of validation seeking and ego feeding. When you walk away, something powerful happens. For the first time, she's forced to chase. She's the one who's left wondering, left thinking about why you're no longer putting in the effort. This is the turning point. When you walk away, you stop playing into the cycle of seeking her attention, and that's when her behavior begins to shift. The psychological impact on her at first. She might not acknowledge it, or she might pretend that nothing has changed. She might act like she doesn't care, that you walking away doesn't affect her, but deep down, she's panicking. She's wondering why you aren't texting her, why you haven't reached out, why you haven't done anything to pursue her. This sends her into a state of confusion and fear. For many women, men are supposed to come back. They have been conditioned to believe that if they pull away, a man will always cave in. Men, they think, can't handle being ignored or rejected for long. But when you don't return, when you stay silent, it shatters her belief that she can control you. This creates a crack in her reality, and it's a crack she can't ignore. Suddenly she starts questioning herself. She starts wondering what happened. Did she lose her appeal? Was she not as desirable as she thought? These are questions she's never had to ask herself before, and that self-doubt, that uncertainty, is a powerful force that begins to chip away at her confidence. Conclusion: in that moment, when you stop chasing and begin walking away, you change the power dynamics in the relationship. The shift is not just physical, it's emotional, psychological, and deeply impactful. You stop being the one who is constantly chasing her, and, in doing so, you give her a taste of her own medicine. The validation stops, the ego boost disappears, and she's left in a place of self-reflection. You've taken control of the situation, and that's when the true power shift occurs. This is the moment when men begin to realize their own worth, not based on someone else's approval, but simply by owning their value and refusing to chase after what isn't given freely. And when you walk away, you become the prize. The first reaction that most women have when a man stops caring is one of shock and denial. It's as if the world, as she knows it, is suddenly upended. This initial response is a natural reaction to feeling a loss of control for most women. This moment marks the beginning of a psychological battle they didn't anticipate, and this battle is rooted in their ability to manipulate, often without even being conscious of it. It's not about brute force or physical strength. It's about the subtlety of emotional manipulation, the skillful use of psychological tactics to keep someone emotionally entangled. Women, more than men, have developed this ability to influence the emotional states of others. This doesn't mean that all women consciously manipulate, but many are instinctively aware of the power dynamics in relationships. Women, whether they love you or not, can easily keep you emotionally trapped simply by giving you just enough of what you want: enough affection, enough attention, and enough validation. And most men, unfortunately, fail to realize that they are playing right into her hands. The power of subtle manipulation. Let's break down how this subtle manipulation works. It begins with the illusion of affection, the sense that you are special, that you have a place in her life. Women understand the power of making a man feel wanted. They know how to give just enough to create an emotional attachment, but never enough to make the man feel completely secure. This is done through sporadic affection, selective attention, and creating a sense of mystery. She may send you sweet texts, give you compliments, or show you affection in a way that makes you feel valued, but not too much, just enough to keep you coming back for more. But this is where the game begins to shift. The moment you begin to ask for more, the moment you try to solidify the connection, or demand something more consistent, that's when she pulls back. Suddenly she becomes more distant. Texts take longer to reply. Plans are cancelled at the last minute, and the energy that once felt warm and inviting starts to feel cold and distant. It seems like she's become unavailable, but this is no accident. It's a deliberate part of her strategy. Why does she do this? It's simple. She needs you to chase. She knows that if she pulls away just enough, you'll be more inclined to pursue. She's playing a psychological game that many men don't recognize, and unfortunately, most men fall for it. The more she pulls away, the more you chase. You want her back, and you begin to work harder, to text more, to call more, to do whatever it takes to regain her attention. Falling deeper into the trap at this point, the cycle becomes a self-perpetuating trap. You feel the distance between you growing, and instead of walking away, you push harder. This is what she wants. She wants you to chase. She wants you to keep giving her attention, to keep feeding her ego. Every time you reach out more, try harder, or show desperation, you fall deeper into her control. The more you try to regain the closeness you once shared, the more power she has over you, and she can keep this cycle going for as long as she chooses. Most men do not recognize that they are being manipulated in this way. They believe that they're simply pursuing a relationship, trying to show their affection, and deepening the connection. But what they fail to see is that they are losing control of the situation. Every time they respond to her emotional withdrawal by chasing her more, they become less of a man who controls his own life and more of a man who is at the mercy of her emotional whims. The moment you chase, you lose. You've shifted the power from yourself to her. Your attention, your validation, your emotional investment becomes a currency that she can control. You may think that showing more love and devotion will bring her closer, but in reality, it just reinforces her control over you. The wake-up call. Stopping the chase. Eventually, there comes a time when a man wakes up. He realizes what's happening. He sees the game being played and he makes a powerful decision to stop chasing. This is the crucial turning point. When a man understands the game and stops playing, the dynamic shifts. He stops calling first, he stops texting, and he stops trying to prove his worth. More importantly, he walks away. This decision is often a difficult one to make. It takes strength and self-awareness to break free from the cycle of manipulation. Walking away may feel counterintuitive, especially if you've been emotionally invested and have been trying to win her over. But this is when the real shift occurs, not just for you, but for her as well. At first, she won't show that she cares. If she acts like everything is fine, like nothing has changed, she might even pretend that you walking away hasn't affected her, but deep down, she's panicking. The panic begins to set in as she realizes that you're no longer playing the game. She is now forced to confront the truth. You've stopped chasing, and that is something she was not prepared for. Denial and panic. The first stage of her reaction is denial. She will tell herself that you are just playing a game, that you'll come back eventually. She believes that men always return, that if she pulls away enough, you'll crack, get desperate, and start chasing her again. It's a defense mechanism, a way to protect her ego. In her mind, men always return. She's seen it happen before. Men who've been ignored or rejected for a while often come back when the woman shows them just a little bit of affection again. She expects the same result, but this time something is different. You don't come back. You stay silent, you don't reach out. And that's when her world begins to unravel. She doesn't know how to handle it. She's never had to deal with a man who doesn't come crawling back after she pulls away. This is not a scenario she has experienced before, and it shakes her deeply. Testing the waters. As the days pass and you don't reach out, she begins to test the waters. She liked one of your posts on social media, send you a random "hey, stranger" text, or find some other excuse to open the lines of communication. These aren't genuine attempts to reconnect, they are tests. She's waiting to see if you'll respond. She's hoping that you'll bite, that you'll show that you're still emotionally invested, that you still want her. In this moment, she's doing something that's dangerous for her ego. She's holding on to hope that you'll respond, and if you do, it validates her belief that she still holds power over you. If you respond, it's as if she wins the game. It proves that you were only pretending, that you were never truly able to walk away. But if you don't respond, if you stay silent, if you truly walk away, her entire sense of control over you shatters. This is when the emotional unraveling begins. She starts to question herself. She wonders if she did something wrong, if she lost you forever, if she's been too aloof, too distant, or too controlling. This is the moment when her panic turns into something even more powerful. So, for the first time, she has to question whether she can truly control the situation, and it begins to eat away at her. She realizes that you're different. You're the one man who didn't come crawling back. The unraveling of her at this point, her whole sense of reality begins to crumble. She realizes that you're not playing into her games. You're not responding to her. And she thought she could control you. Now she's forced to confront the painful truth. You are no longer under her control. Her initial shock turns into panic, and as her emotional stability begins to erode, she starts reflecting on everything. She might even feel a sense of loss, something she's never felt before. This loss is not about you, it's about the control, the power, and the validation she once had in the relationship. After the shock and panic subside, the next phase of a woman's emotional journey is rationalization. This is when the mind begins to construct defenses to protect her fragile ego. When a man walks away, she's forced to confront a painful reality. She lost control, and the more she denies the truth, the more she needs to convince herself that the relationship wasn't worth pursuing in the first place. Rationalization. The defense mechanism. Mechanism. It's when someone constructs a narrative to justify their actions or minimize the significance of a loss. In this case, after a man walks away, the woman will begin to tell herself that he was too needy, too emotional, or not right for her. She may tell herself that he was too obsessed with her, that he didn't know how to handle her, or that they just weren't a good match. She may even convince herself that she was the one who ended things first, turning the tables so she doesn't have to admit that it was actually her who lost the battle for control. Rationalization is not about convincing others, it's about convincing herself. She needs to believe that her decision to let go of the relationship was the right one. This is how she justifies her own behavior, allowing her to feel better about losing someone who was once important to her. However, while this narrative may serve to protect her ego temporarily, it doesn't change the reality. Deep down, she knows the truth. She lost a man who was strong enough to walk away. This realization begins to eat away at her. The more she tries to rationalize, the more she begins to doubt her own justification. If he was too needy, why did she miss him? If he wasn't right for her, why is she still thinking about him? These questions lead to a constant internal battle. On one hand, she tells herself that it was for the best, that she's better off without him. On the other hand, she can't ignore the fact that the one man who truly wouldn't be controlled is now out of her life for good. Enter the rebound, filling the void as time passes and the emotional wounds begin to take their toll. She may find herself jumping into a rebound relationship. This is not about love, it's about filling the empty space that you left behind. After losing control over a man who walked away, she may seek comfort in the arms of someone who will worship her, someone who won't challenge her, and someone who is emotionally available in a way you never were. The rebound man is typically not the type who would ever make her feel uncomfortable or forced to reflect on her actions. In fact, he might be the exact opposite of the man who walked away. He might be kind, considerate, and willing to give her everything she wants without expecting much in return. But here's the problem. This new guy is a temporary fix. He's a distraction, a bandage for the emotional wound that still hasn't healed. She may cling to him for comfort, but this man doesn't address the real issues that led to her emotional pain. He doesn't challenge her. He doesn't push her to be better or force her to reflect on the things that went wrong in her past relationship. He's an easy choice, a safe choice, but one that ultimately lacks depth. The rebound is never truly a solution to the problem. It's just a way to avoid dealing with the underlying emotional void that losing someone who was strong enough to walk away has created. In fact, this new relationship may even reinforce her original mistakes. While she might convince herself that she's moved on, deep down, she knows that this new man isn't filling the real needs she had. The illusion of moving on. As she spends more time with the rebound, she may begin to post pictures of happy moments on social media. She'll take selfies, share couple goals, photos, or show off her new relationship like everything is perfect. It's an attempt to create an illusion to herself and to others that she has fully moved on from you. She wants to show that she's strong, that she doesn't miss the man who walked away, and that she's perfectly fine without him. But here's the truth. She's not fooling anyone, especially not herself. She may try to convince the world that her life is better without you, that she's found someone who gives her everything she was missing. But in the quiet moments, when she's alone with her thoughts, the truth begins to seep in. She starts comparing the rebound guy to you. She begins to notice the differences, the things he doesn't do, the things he can't offer her. The rebound guy is a mere placeholder. He's there to soothe her ego, to make her feel wanted again, but he doesn't bring the same depth or excitement to her life. She might even realize, as time goes on, that she's bored. He doesn't challenge her in the way you did. He doesn't push her boundaries, and he doesn't make her reflect on her own behavior. The excitement is gone, and with it, her attraction to him starts to fade. The cycle of boredom and looking back. This boredom is dangerous. For women who thrive on excitement, mystery, and challenge, boredom can lead to a dangerous place. As she starts to feel dissatisfied in her rebound relationship, she begins to look back at the man she lost. She starts to remember the times when things were exciting with you, the moments when you made her feel special, the times when you challenged her, and the passion that was once there. She begins to think about how she traded something real for something easy. The truth is hard to swallow. She made a huge mistake by trading a strong, independent man who wouldn't be controlled for someone who could be manipulated and controlled. She has lost her true source of respect and challenge. And here's where things get complicated. The more she compares the rebound man to you, the more she realizes that the new relationship can't fulfill her needs in the same way. The reality sets in that the rebound was just a distraction, not a solution. She begins to miss the man who walked away with her, one who didn't play her games, the one who didn't need her validation, and the one who understood his own worth. The regret and the realization. Now she starts to regret her choices. The comparison between the two men is inevitable, and with it comes a sense of loss and longing. She begins to question why she allowed herself to lose you. She starts to wonder if she'll ever find someone who can challenge her in the same way. Someone who can make her feel both secure and uncertain at the same time. In this moment she'll realizes the truth. She traded a man who respected himself and wouldn't be controlled for someone who was willing to worship her without question. The regret begins to settle in, and the realization that she made the wrong choice becomes inescapable. The rebound is no longer a source of comfort, it's just a painful reminder that she lost the one man who wouldn't be manipulated. The one man who understood his worth and wasn't afraid to walk away. The cycle repeats at this point. She may start thinking about you again. She remembers how things were when you were together, the connection you shared, and the strength that we had to walk away. But the problem is, by the time she comes to this realization, it's too late. You've moved on, you've learned your worth, and you're no longer interested in playing her games. This cycle where she loses control, jumps into a rebound, and then realizes the mistake she made repeats itself over and over again. She begins to feel the pangs of regret, but the damage has already been done. And now, with the knowledge that she lost a man who could have been everything, she's left with only the memory of what could have been.